villages far from the safety of our castles still need protection. But how can our armies protect the people when we samurai are so few? Nobushi, elegant, aggressive fighters with the lightest of armor and the most exotic of weapons. The Naginata. They seem hardly battle-ready, but looks, in this case, are profoundly deceiving. They keep our wilds safe, and we don't even know who they are.
There's one word to describe Nobushi, and that is... if it's cute, dainty, and all-around feminine, it's got Nobushi written all over it. Her name means field warrior, and she's most likely a reference to the Onabugeisha, who were women warrior maidens in Japan, which is what the word means. It's at this point I want to make something clear. Women were definitely samurai. You see, it's not like medieval knight culture where you had to be knighted and chosen to become a knight, or almost like a mercenary. A samurai was a class system. It was something you were born into. Kind of like you have a peasant class and a noble class and a hierarchy. It's the same way. A woman could be born into the samurai class. Now, did that mean that women fought? It's not unheard of. In fact, in many situations, they probably did fight. But that's not what they were meant to do all the time. There are famous examples of Onabugeisha in history, famously ones like Tomoe Gozen or Nakano Takako, who were both amazing warriors and did great things in their own right, and we could do a whole video series just on them. But in terms of duty, the women's place, even in a samurai family, was usually more to tend to matters of the household in samurai culture. The woman's job was mostly to make sure that the house ran smoothly. If the husband's job was to go out and fight for their lord or daimyo, the woman's job was to make sure that their house was protected and maintained in their stead. This did, of course, mean that women had to defend their husband's belongings in certain circumstances.
Fujiko-san is your consort. If you order it, she will protect the pistol with her life.
I want you to say this to Fujiko-san exactly. I'm going to give you my pistol. You are to guard it. No one but me is to touch it.
Anjin さんはそなたに銃を渡すがしっかりと守ってほしいと言っています。アンジンさん以外の誰にも触らせてはなりません。はい。
わかりますか、フジコさん。
はい、わかりました。
銃を取れ。
どうぞ動かないでくださいまし。
Shall we go?
Now, I want to also bring this up. There was a YouTuber by the name of Gaijin Goomba who made a video about the Nobushi and greatly over-exaggerated a few things. I want to make this clear. I'm not going to say that the Onabugeisha were weak or undeserving of attention, but they certainly didn't overshadow their male counterparts, as Gaijin Goomba asserts.
You know, I'm actually kind of surprised there hasn't been another mainstream game to take advantage of these warrior women. For all the fuss we make about historical figures like Oda Nobunaga, Hattori Hanzo, and Tokugawa Ieyasu, some of them feel like small potatoes compared to the Onabugeisha that history has chronicled.
Bear in mind that women warriors weren't necessarily looking for glory for themselves, but for their husbands or masters. Samurai did that too. It's an important distinction to make here. You see, think of it like this. When you go into battle as a samurai, you are representing your daimyo, you're representing their interests. When you are a female samurai, you are also representing your master's interests, or perhaps your husband's interests. So even if you do go into battle or protect your homestead from bandits or thieves or an enemy army, you're not just doing it for your own personal glory, you're doing it for the glory of your clan, master, or husband. So it's important to take that into consideration. Now, do I think they deserve attention and study? Absolutely yes. But do I think that they're better than male samurai in everything they do?
Boy, hell no!
Besides, Nobushi isn't just fighting for herself, and she isn't just fighting for the samurai. For Honor is a lot like a Shakespearean tragedy, you see, of star-crossed lovers. There's someone special for our little kawaii Nobushi baby, but we'll get to that later. So what does Nobushi come into the fight with? There's not a lot to say in terms of armor here. Honestly, it's a little disappointing. It looks like you've got a yukata or kimono underneath a cloth or leather coat, and the coat itself looked like it was quickly stitched together. I don't dislike this because it kind of fits the tone of what we were talking about earlier. You know, a field warrior who has to protect their homestead, like they're hanging out at home or in their husband's pavilion, and suddenly enemies showing up, so they quickly have to throw on something to protect themselves and then run out into the battlefield. But even so, that cloth coat wouldn't do much protection. The only real protection I see on her is the sode shoulder guards there that you see, but those are so small that they really wouldn't provide much protection at all. That no mask she's wearing, no is a type of Japanese theater. It's spelled N-O-H, not just no, but no masks wouldn't provide much protection. It's made of wood, and it would still, if you hit it square on, it would still cause damage. Plus, I don't like the idea of having to see out of those eye holes. That stinks, in my opinion. And then finally, you have this amigasa hat that she's wearing, which means it's a kind of straw festival hat. Again, that won't provide any protection either. Just nothing impressive about the armor. It looks cool, it looks cute, but nothing impressive about it. The weapon, on the other hand, is rather interesting. This is the naginata. It's a Japanese polearm that combines the reach of the yari spear with the cutting power of a katana. This weapon can slash and stab in equal measure, and it can do it from a distance, which is very nice because that's what the Nobushi wants. The distance that the naginata provides makes it a suitable weapon for women warriors because since women warriors have a disadvantage in terms of physical strength, their best chance is to keep their opponent at a distance and strike them from afar. Now, again, to bring up Gaijin Goomba, he talked about the naginata and greatly overplays the weapon's usefulness and ability.
But despite being forged from two fairly straightforward weapons, what birthed from the unification of these two was one of the most flexible arms the country had ever forged. Due to the curvature of the blade, the length of the pole, and the addition of a tsuba, the naginata was capable of stabbing, hooking, slashing, pummeling, basically dealing with any kind of enemy that came your way. Seriously, got some bandits pillaging your crops on horseback? Just hook or stab the idiot off their mount. Coming at you with a sword? Oh please, she's got you outranged. Trying to take stabs with that yari? Watch her whip that pole back and forth and slash him up with that curved blade.
I want to say this. The game and Gaijin Goomba call it a very versatile weapon. It's really not, and I'll explain why. From a distance, it's great, and it keeps your opponent back. It can cut and stab, which is all great, it's all good, but if they close that distance, suddenly this is a lot of cumbersome length for a weapon that's not going to be very useful in any other regard, unless you feel like hitting them with the shaft. That's the reason why you train in a martial art, to help teach you how to keep them at a distance. And we'll see in a minute how Nobushi keeps them at a distance. But it's great for what's demanded of it, and that's about all I'll give it. I think it's a beautiful weapon, an excellent weapon, probably one of the best the samurai bring to the table. But let's treat it with realism. Let's treat it like what it is. An excellent polearm that keeps an opponent at a distance. Alright, so before we move on to the fighting style of the Nobushi, let's talk about what my Nobushi looks like, because there are a few differences. First of all, you can see that I took away the no mask. You can actually see her face. That's face paint on. No protection for the face. But the hat has been replaced. That is not an Amigasa hat. That is a Jingasa helmet. And it looks a lot better, would actually provide more protection. You got a mask hanging from the neck there, which is kind of cool, but she never wears it. And we have some honest-to-God chest armor, which is excellent. I like the chest armor. It will actually protect vitals. That's a lot better. I think it looks a lot better. Maybe not as cute as what we had before, but it seems more battle-ready to me, which I definitely appreciate. And then the weapon, bit of a serrated back to the edge, but you wouldn't cut with that edge anyway. Ornamented shaft and blade. Looks very cool, but still works the same way. So that's pretty much what my Nobushi looks like. Very cute. Can't wait to bring her into battle. So, that begs the question. How do you fight with Nobushi? Nobushi is an easy-to-understand hero if you can remember two simple rules: placement and timing. Nobushi's heavy attacks are wide and easy to block or avoid, but that doesn't mean they can't be useful. You have a two-hit combo with them, but any heavy attack can be followed by one of Nobushi's trademark kicks. The kick is a fundamental part of Nobushi's kit because doing it guarantees a free jabbing light. Now I want you to pay close attention to that light. Notice how it caused bleed. Nobushi is a bleeding hero, much like Peacekeeper or Shaman. And she doesn't just bleed them, she can suck them dry like a vampire.
Phrasing?
But this can only be done with the aforementioned rules, such as placement. Nobushi can dish out 2 lights in consecutive order, but if they both land, as in neither are blocked, then she gets a third free one, and the second and third lights always apply bleed. I'll demonstrate. This is where placement comes in handy, because if you constantly throw all the lights from one direction, if your opponent has half a brain, and you can usually tell by looking at their emblem, if they have an Uchiha symbol for their emblem, then you know that they probably don't. They'll eventually figure out how to block your light and prevent the combo. So you want to alter directions and get in that placement just right. But that's not all. Nobushi can do her bleeding jabs in multiple different ways, such as the side dodge light, the forward dodge light, and the reaching light from when your opponent is really too far away, which can actually push your opponent back to give you some distance. That's how Nobushi likes it, after all. She wants that distance. She wants to keep you away from her. If the opponent gets in too close, she has to regain that distance, which she can do with that jab you just saw or with her kicks. But this is where we get into the other rule, timing. Nobushi's dodge and reach attacks are useful, but if timed right, they can be devastating. Like, here's her normal dodge heavy attack. And now here's what happened when I time it right. Watch what happens when my brother attacks me. If I had dodged a second too late, I would have been smashed.
Phrase it!
Notice how her dodge attack is so much smaller than a regular assassin's. That's why the timing is so important. You can't just spam those dodges. You've got to be quick with it. You got to be fast. The other half comes into just keeping that back step moving. If they start coming in for an attack, you may just want to push them back to make sure they can't get in at you. Now, there's one more move to go over with Nobushi that is critical. Firstly, it has to do with her pullback stance. If my brother tries to attack me, I take the hit, but if I do this, I can avoid it. She can hold this back stance for as long as she likes, because it won't drain any stamina until I move. As my brother just demonstrated, though, you are susceptible to the guard break in it. But from this stance, you can do a few things. From this stance, you can do a light, you can do a kick, or you can do your heavy. That technique is very useful, and it allows you to turn a fight around. So if my brother tries to attack me, I can always be able to retaliate him. But again, it's all about timing. As you saw earlier, if I'm too slow or too fast, I can take a hit, and it's never fun. And, of course, guard breaking it is an easy way to get Nobushi in a bad spot. The last thing to really go over, which I didn't go over earlier, but it is important, is her zone attack. Nobushi has an interesting zone attack which works in 2 phases. It can be cancelled after the first phase, but not before it. Here's what it looks like. Now you'll notice that my brother was able to block it, which is why a lot of people like to cancel it after the first one, so that you can block his follow-up attack. However, if it lands, it will cause bleed on the second attack. So you kind of want to decide, do you want to risk that attack, or do you want to let them stop you? So, with all that out of the way, let's have a short little fight. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to play the effective Nobushi. So now that we've gone over her fighting style, let's talk about her executions. So this took a lot longer than I thought it would. I really don't want to release a 45-minute long video, so we're cutting this in half. But to make things as fun for you as possible, let's do a very quick tribute to the best shipping in all of For Honor. And before y'all argue and say, well, doesn't Nobushi work better with someone like Shaman or Peacekeeper? Don't think about it in terms of who's best for the battlefield. Think about it in terms of, you know what, just don't think about it. Just surrender yourself to the adorable.
I'll let you say